Hello students and welcome to another English Solutions for Business and Life video. Let's begin. Don't forget that you can always get in touch with us at EnglishSolutions001@gmail.com. Let's begin. Today we're going to be covering Unit 7, of course for our elementary book, and we'll be covering the grammar aspect. So pay a lot of attention because this is a very important unit. Okay, well in this video, basically, what we will see is the simple past tense. We will check the affirmative form, the negative form, and also how to make questions. Okay, just remember that simple past or past simple, is the same thing, is for a completed action, to express a completed action in the past. For example, here we have now, this is this moment, and in the morning, we have the verb wake up. So we can say I woke up at 6 a.m. This is a complete action in the past. Okay, let's begin with the affirmative form. We have our formula here, and it's very simple. We're going to use a subject, a verb in its past form. This is extremely important to remember, and our complement. Example, I saw the movie with my friends yesterday. As you can see, we have the subject, can be a name or a pronoun. We have the verb in past, and our complement that completes our idea. Let's look at some examples now. Number 1, I went to France 5 months ago. I went to France 5 months ago. As you can see, the formula is exactly the same as we saw before. We have the subject, the verb in past, in this case went, and our complement, to France 5 months ago. As you can see, let's pay attention to this. Part of our complement is our time expression. The time expression indicates or reinforces the fact that it is an action in the past. It is not always necessary, but they are very common in this type of sentences. The second example, she finished her studies last year. She finished her studies last year. Then again, we have our subject, our verb in past, and the complement we just mentioned before. And also, as you can see, we have another time expression. In this case, last year. In the third example, they talked about the situation. They talked about the situation. We have our subject, our verb in past, and our complement. And as you can see here, you can notice there is no time expression, but the complement completes the idea. Okay, now let's look at the negative form. We have, the formula is quite simple. We have the subject, we have the auxiliary didn't. It is very important to remember that didn't doesn't change for the first or third person. We have to use it for I, we, you, he, she, it, or they, and they never change. Remember that didn't means did not. There should be a little more separated. Let's fix that. They did not. Okay, but normally when we speak, we're going to use didn't. And then we have our verb in simple form. Verb in simple form meaning that we will not use any of the ed forms, not at all. Let's erase it. Okay. And of course a complement, the report. And the result is she didn't finish the report. It is very common to confuse this, so it's always important to remember that our verb in the negative form will be in simple form. Here we have some examples. Example number 1. We didn't have time for coffee. We didn't have time for coffee. In this example, we have our elements, the subject, the auxiliary didn't, our verb in simple form, and our complement. We didn't have time for coffee. Once again, don't forget, this verb does not have to be cannot be in past. It has to be in simple form because there is the presence, we have the presence of didn't. Our second example, I didn't go to the doctor last year. I didn't go to the doctor last year. Let's look at the elements here again. Subject, auxiliary didn't, verb in simple form, go, and our complement, to the doctor last Friday. Just like we saw before, and I told you about it, we have a time expression in this case, last Friday. Our third example, he didn't like the movie we saw last night. He didn't like the movie we saw last night. Then we have our subject, our auxiliary didn't, and our verb in simple form. The complement, the movie we saw last night, is with the something is that thing that completes our idea. And I'm going to stop here for a little while, just so that you can notice the difference. As you can see, we have another action in the past. This one is in affirmative, and as you can see, the verb is in past, saw. But here, since it's a negative and we have the presence of didn't, our verb is in simple form. Simple form. Let's move on. Now, let's look at the questions. We have, it's a very simple formula. We have did and subject and verb in simple form. Then again, because there's the present of did, and complement. Example, did you eat sushi yesterday? Did you eat sushi yesterday? Okay, we have some examples of questions. One important thing, these are yes, no questions. Why? Because their answer requires a yes or a no. In the first example, did you buy the newest iPhone? Did you buy the newest iPhone? Okay, we have the formula, auxiliary did, subject, verb in simple form, and complement. Did you buy the newest iPhone? In the second one, the formula then again stays the same. Did she play with them at the party? Did she play with them at the party? Auxiliary did, she, verb in simple form, because here's our friend did, and with them at the party. That's a complement. In the third example, did they pass all their exams? Did they pass all their exams? Did, subject they, verb in simple form, pass, and complement all their exams. Remember that all these questions are yes-no questions. For example, did you buy the newest iPhone? Yes, I did. Did she play with them at the party? No, she didn't. Did they pass all their exams? Yes, they did. Now, we have the last form, which is again questions, but this time using a question word. We follow the exact same formula, but we're going to insert a question word in the beginning before the auxiliary did. The formula is quite simple. We have a question word, which can be what, where, when, why, which, and then we have did, our auxiliary for the past, and then we have our subject and our verb. What did you do? What did you do? Now here we are some examples of question word questions. Number 1. Where did you get that coat? Where did you get that coat? The formula stays the same. As usual, we have question word, auxiliary, subject, and verb in simple form, as well as our complement. In the second one, why did you go without permission? Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form, and complement. Third example, how did you do that? Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form, complement. And of course, the type of answers we would get from that. For example, where did you get that coat? You can say, I got it at the mall. Okay, and in this case the answer is affirmative, and as you can notice it changes from get to got because the difference between being a question and now in the answer we have affirmative. One more last thing that you should not forget. Common time expressions. We have last, for example, last year, last week, last month. The second one, also very common, ago, is more dynamic. You can use expressions or also you can say numbers. For example, 2 days ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago. And we have the common yesterday, yesterday, meaning the day before today. We also have the expression on for days. For example, I saw you on Monday. I bought it on Tuesday. Alright, now let's recap a little bit here. Don't forget that we covered Unit 7 for our elementary book. And we're looking at the grammar aspect here. We focused only on the simple past tense. We covered the affirmative, the negative, and the question form. Okay, one more thing, not to forget, it's the simple past or the past simple is to express completed actions in the past. Example, I woke up at 6 a.m. This is the present and this is the past, a point in the past. The affirmative form formula is subject, verb in past, and complement. And the very important thing, the most important thing you do not forget that you have to always remember is that we only use the verb in past in the affirmative form. Only. You will have to memorize a lot of verbs in past only to express this form of English, the simple past. Examples, I went to France 5 months ago. She finished her studies last year. They talked about the situation. The formula is always the same. Subject, verb in past, complement. The negative form introduces the auxiliary didn't, which is in reality did not. And we can use it for all the pronouns or all the subjects: I, we, you, he, she, it, or they. And in this case, we're not going to use the verb in past. We're going to use the verb in its simple form. For example, she didn't finish the report. Example, we didn't have time for coffee. I didn't go to the doctor last Friday. He didn't like the movie we saw last night. And then the formula is one more time the same. Subject, auxiliary, verb in simple form. Subject, auxiliary, verb in simple form. Subject, auxiliary, verb in simple form. Questions. Questions are really simple in English. All you have to do is use did, subject, verb in simple form, and complement if necessary. Example, did you eat sushi yesterday? Examples, did you buy the newest iPhone? Did she play with them at the party? Did they pass all their exams? Formula is always the same, guys. Auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Oh, of course, do not forget the complement as well, if necessary. If we're not asking yes/no questions, and instead we're asking question word questions, we will just introduce the question word at the beginning. For example, what did you do? Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Examples, where did you get that coat? Why did you go without permission? How did you do that? Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb in simple form. Just remember this and your questions in English will be perfect. Okay guys, I hope that this was useful for you. Remember that you can always watch this video as many times as you see fit, as you think necessary. Please don't forget to contact your teacher or ask him for further explanation if necessary. Goodbye.